We all know that the right combination of equity and debt is the key to any successful investment strategy. We at Edelweiss take this point very, very seriously, and hence we have a dedicated team to manage our hybrid fund offerings. We have a combination of Bharat Lahoti and Bhavesh Jain, who together bring almost 30 years of investment and trading experience onto the table to manage and offer you our hybrid piece. Without further ado, let me invite Bhavesh and Bharat to the session today.
Good evening, friends. This is Bharat Lahoti, and I'm along with Bhavesh. We manage hybrid funds in the Edelweiss Mutual Fund. Uh, uh, 2020 has been extremely tough year. It's been extremely volatile, and we would discuss today in terms of how we navigated volatility for hybrid funds. Basically, hybrid funds, if you look at it, there are three big components in this hybrid fund. One is the equity portfolio, second is the debt portfolio, and third is the asset allocation column. Now we will discuss or step more in detail in terms of how these three components actually have navigated in this time. Also, we will discuss candidly in terms of what worked for us and what didn't work for us, in terms of finally our investment performance. So the core of the hybrid funds is the asset allocation, and it's more so in balance advantage fund, where it becomes like a heart of the fund. As you know, Edelweiss Balance Advantage Fund operates on a pro-cyclical asset allocation model, which typically means that we will increase equity exposure when markets are doing good and will reduce equity exposure when markets are doing bad. Last year has been extremely volatile. If you just to give you some stats, we had seen within one quarter markets moving dramatically from 14 Jan 2020 when markets were hitting high of 12,360 levels. It moved to 7,600 by March 23rd. So extremely volatile month, and you needed a asset allocation model which is quick, agile, which is supposed to change according to market condition. Now, the model which we follow is extremely quick because we do a rebalancing every day per se. So we were very quick in doing rebalancing depending upon market condition. To give you some example on this, January 2020, we were at a net equity levels of close to around 70%. By Feb and March, we actually came down to almost as low as 30%, which is our lowest mandate kind of stuff. So consequently, if you look at it for the correction phase, market fell around 38%. And actually, Edelweiss balance advantage fell only around 15% because we actually reduced our net equity level. The recovery was also equally strong. So if you look at beyond April onwards, the recovery was pretty strong. And always a swift change is required when the market conditions are changing. Consequently, if you look at it, our average net equity level also increased substantially after that. And the average equity level from there onwards is actually 67. So we have captured the uptrend meaningfully. Overall, if you look at it from the complete cycle perspective, the fund has done better than Nifty with a lower volatility. And hence the pro-cyclical asset allocation model has worked decently well. And this again proves that this model works in a trending market. This year was also very unique in terms of that we had one bull market and one bear market within the same year itself. So this was very useful for a pro-cyclical asset allocation model. This again proves the robustness of the model. We had seen similar set of trending moves like in 2011, 14, 17, and again 2020. The model has actually been true to mandate and true to the consistency in this kind of trending market. Again, if you look at it, it's always the saying that trend is your friend. And again, this has come in handy during this volatile period. If you look at it, in year of 2020, it was very hard to estimate numbers, whether it's a GDP forecast. If you look at left-hand side chart, people at the start of pandemic were assuming that maybe GDP will fall like 2% GDP growth, 4%, -4%, -5%, and it ended up like -7% by the end of the year. Similarly was for the Nifty earnings. People started reducing the Nifty estimates, and till July, August, they were actually reducing the earnings estimate for the Nifty. Consequently, it is very hard to predict what would be the earnings looking like for even FY21 and FY22. So all valuation model which were using valuation model for asset allocation struggled very hard. And the trend and volatility based indicator actually work very well in this kind of markets. So three things: A, in terms of quickness, ability to change market condition; B, working well in trend market; third is the factors which we were using. All these three actually worked well in favor of the asset allocation model. If you get into the equity portfolio side, how we actually manage the equity portfolio, we ran a very conservative portfolio where our focus was on strong balance sheet and there is a earning visibility. So in the first part of the year, if you look at it, we were overweight on companies which actually showing earning visibility in that kind of market. Whether it's a pharma where the drug sales were supposed to remain robust, or the technology firm, as Harshad mentioned it out, they were actually getting some amount of better data volume growth and so on and so forth. And FMCG, where the staples were the only thing which can actually be delivered in that kind of market. So they offered extremely high visibility and hence we were overweight on them. The second thing which we noticed in the entire year was there was a sectoral rotation. As new data started coming in, post the economy getting opened up, the corporates started talking about how their sectors are getting impacted. And as when the actual people get comfort in it, the sector started moving up. Just to give you an example, on private banks, as Harshad mentioned out in terms of capital raising happening for many of the private banks, these banks actually started providing buffer provision for the COVID impact. This offered extremely high margin of safety for many of these banks. And consequently, we went overweight on private banks. We actually then went underweight on FMCG because the valuation was pretty high. And obviously, you can't consume more than what is required in daily need per se. So we actually went switched from FMCG to private banks. We also noticed something like there was a change in demand supply and global recovery is aiding metals. Consequently, we typically remain always underweight on metals. But this time, what we saw is the strong global recovery will aid the commodities of metal rally. And consequently, we remove some of the underweights in the metal kind of stuff. If you look at our overall positioning as of today, we are still conservative. We are still overweight on pharma, IT, and private banks. We are underweight on cyclicals like auto, infra, and obviously FMCG on valuation perspective. So that's how our equity portfolio on the conservative side for the entire 2020 and going forward. If you look at it, our debt portfolio, we have always maintained that we will run a conservative debt portfolio. The mandate is to run a high quality, low credit, low to medium duration kind of debt portfolio that remains as it is. What we did is that we actually tactically used cash future arbitrage in lieu of short-term debts. Whenever the yields on the cash future arbitrage were better than the short-term debt instruments, we actually swapped to the cash future arbitrage. So that is one thing which we did quite often during this year. The another thing very important which we did was a few special situation ideas which we did out. This primarily actually helped in supplementing the debt returns. So this year, as we said, that it was a year where we had a bull market and a bear market. Both bull markets and bear market opportunity and special situation were given to us. Basically, in a weak market condition, as you know, you will get many open offers, delisting, and so on and so forth. So we participated in many of these delistings or open offers. These are low risk trades and typically give you better than debt returns kind of stuff. As market improved in the second half year, we got a lot of opportunity for capital raising via IPO, OFS, IPO listing, or QIPs, and so on and so forth. So we participated in many of these and tried to generate a better debt returns and better risk-adjusted return. So overall, if you look at it in terms of what went well for us, one is clearly the pro-cyclical asset allocation model, which was trending. In a trending year, it worked well. Being agile, it worked very well. And not focusing on valuation also worked very well for us. Second thing which worked very well for us is active management on the key sectors in a recovery phase. So moving out, some of the sectors which looking valuation was pretty high, and getting into sectors which were showing higher quality of growth, we actually moved out. Third is using spatial situation in our debt portfolio did help out. What did work actually is that a lower allocation to mid and small caps. Consequently, in a recovery phase, there is always a confusion. How strong is the recovery, and whether these smaller companies actually can navigate the entire year for the recovery. So consequently, we were a bit underweight on mid and small cap. That's what the learning is all about. So recovery, we have to be very cautious about the mid and small caps. Typically, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. So this time it has not worked for us in terms of lower allocation to mid and small cap. So that's broadly how we have done on the hybrid funds on the balance advantage fund. I will move on to Bhavesh to discuss on the arbitrage fund.
Bharat, good evening, everyone. As already Harshad, Rashesh, and Bharat have spoke about volatility, I will not speak much about volatility in market. The numbers is there in front of you. We have seen a month with almost 25% Nifty going down in a single month. Then we have seen recovery also. So a lot of you can say big month for Nifty, both on positive side as well as negative side. I think the only product which is getting some benefit of this volatility is arbitrage fund, because volatility is truly a good friend of arbitrage fund because it helps us to generate higher return. But this time the volatility was not only restricted to equity market. If you will see in on arbitrage front also, the AUM of arbitrage fund, the category itself, from 87,000 crore in one single month, the category went down to 52,000 crore. Almost a 40% redemption in just one single month. Partly because everyone was in panic. We were going into a lockdown, so no one was sure what will happen to market, whether derivative will continue, because there was a lot of rumors, lot of noise that SEBI may ban stock future, SEBI may stop stock selling and all that stuff. So there was a lot of negative euphoria around stock future per se, and arbitrage as a you can say relative product to that. At the same time, we have seen a single stock open interest, that is the total position on the long side as well as short side in the market, which was at around 1,10,000 crore, that went down to almost 57, 58,000 crore. Partly because of market correction and partly because everyone was worried. We were going into lockdown, so no one was sure whether we will be able to take position, whether we will be able to trade. Then the most important thing was everyone was saving their money. They were reading money from everywhere so that there will be cash in their hand to meet their day-to-day requirement, because no one was sure when market will open again. So the impact of the same was visible in the you can say returns of arbitrage fund. So you will see in the next slide where return of arbitrage fund were extremely volatile. So here you can see 1 month return of arbitrage for last financial year has been in the range of -2% up to positive 11.5%. Now, -2% on an arbitrage fund is like once in a decade kind of situation. So 2% negative return in arbitrage is like 50% fall in your equity portfolio. That is the kind of inference this -2% return on arbitrage have. Uh, Everyone was panicking. Everyone was worried that how one can get negative return in arbitrage. But at that time, if you see, the market situation was like that. As I said, a lot of news, a lot of you could say circulars and everything was there in market. So overall, it was one of the most volatile year we have seen in almost last 10-15 years of our managing arbitrage as a product. What our, or you can say what our advice to our partners, to our client was, the first one, the first note which we released last year was in March 2020, when just lockdown was announced on you can say 23rd of March. As I said, that month we saw redemption of almost 40% of arbitrage AUM. Our own fund from close to 4,000 crore came to as low as 2,300 crore. At that time, we really realized note that this is the worst time to redeem money from arbitrage. Everyone was panicking that returns may become negative, or SEBI may ban stock future selling and all that stuff. But we were very much clear that no regulator or no government will stop equity market from functioning even though there was lockdown, equity market and you can say banks, these are part of essential service, and there was not even a single day when these businesses were asked to shut their operation. Finally, as we advised, March was one of the worst month for arbitrage as far as redemption is concerned. And effectively, you will see in April, in one single month, arbitrage fund delivered return of close to 12%. Now, as you can see, 40% of the clients redeemed their money, so they were not there to enjoy this fruit in the month of April. But even after that, those who entered for next 3 months, next 6 months, they kept on getting return of anywhere between 5 to 6%, which was much better compared to your liquid fund return or other low risk product at that point of time. Second fear came in the month of June when actually return of arbitrage fund became negative. So fear was in the month of March, but that time nothing happened. In June, in fact, when recovery started in market, that was the time when arbitrage fund actually delivered negative return. Again, that time, our advice to our partners and our clients was it is purely a phenomena of mark to market. Return from May to June expiry was negative because in May month, there was recovery in market. In addition to that, there was MSCI rebalancing of their index, and due to which, because of various, you can say, events coming together on month end of May, which was 29th of May, marking happened in such a way that 1 month return of arbitrage was negative. And as we said, it is purely because of mark to market. There is no actual negative return or no actual loss incurred by any of the arbitrage fund. But again, there was a lot of panic in market. So that time we said that you should look into arbitrage, you should come into arbitrage with a 6 month horizon. Now, if you will see those entered into say June, July, that period, for next 6 months, their return was close to 3 to 3.5%, which again you have to look at on a relative basis compared to liquid fund and other low risk product on a post tax basis, you generate an alpha of almost 50 to 100 basis point. Uh, so you will see overall 2021, financial year 2021 was one of the most challenging year. As you all know, we went into lockdown. So we were all managing arbitrage fund from our home. Now, arbitrage is not like your traditional equity product where you buy, say, stocks or you select some of the sectors and then you stay invested for next 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. In arbitrage, we have to manage our position on a day-to-day basis. It is like if there is an opportunity, the one who is able to capture that opportunity fastest will be able to make maximum amount of money. So that was a big operational issue which we were facing because most of us were working from home. After that, you will see from regulatory point of view, there were a lot of circulars which came. So you will see from July till December, there were almost 10 different circulars which came either on, you can say, derivative front or margin requirement or equity market functioning itself. You will see cutoff timing for taking money into arbitrage fund or equity fund and debt funds were changed. Branches were not working. So a lot of challenges. But even after that, I think we were able to managed last year very much nicely. So you will see 1 year return for last year was close to 3.8%. In a low interest rate environment, if people are able to generate 3.8% compared to say liquid giving you return of anywhere between 3.2 to 3.4. So on a post-tax, on the pre-tax basis itself, we were outperforming by almost 50 basis point. On a post-tax basis, that outperformance was almost 80 to 100 basis point. So overall, a tough year, a challenging year, a lot of operational issue, a lot of compliance issue. But even after that, I think fund was able to deliver a performance as per the mandate. So net, I will say a good year, and going forward also we'll have similar view on this category. So that is the brief from my side. So yeah, Bharat, you can take this.
Yeah, just on bowling performance, as you can look at it, basically this is how consistently the fund has been performing. So if you look at it, most of the funds have been actually better in terms of better than median performance on a rolling 1 and 3 year basis. That's where we want to end up, and we'll open up for Q&A.
Thanks a lot, Bhavesh. Thanks a lot, Bharat, for taking us through the entire year and how did you manage volatility. The first question comes from our participant is about what do you mean by trending market? How exactly you define trending market? And to go along, how do you move between debt and equity in your hybrid funds?
Okay, so when we say trending market, basically what we are saying is that whether markets are on uptrend or downtrend, when we say that this kind of market is trending, basically when we say that that is going to be like plus or minus 10% kind of movement in Nifty. So if Nifty is up 10%, we are saying the market's in uptrend. When market is down 10% kind of stuff, we are saying market is in a downtrend. So typically the model, the way it happens of in a uptrending market, you try to capture the maximum of the uptrend, and in downtrend, we typically try to save as much of what you can do it. How we actually move from equity debt is a bit unique as compared to the way people on the street actually does it. Basically, we don't tinker around our equity and debt portfolio. Our equity and debt portfolio broadly remains 80-20. So 80 remains in equity, 20 remains under debt. What we do is we use Nifty futures and option to hedge our portfolio. So depending upon what our model suggests, the post-cyclical asset allocation model suggests, we actually buy or sell Nifty future to have a net equity level for our portfolio. So suppose market says that, or the model says that you need to be fully invested in the market. Actually, we don't do anything. 80% is in equity, 20% is debt. We don't do anything. If now market condition says that you need to be at the lower side of the portfolio, that is 30% net equity level, what we do is we sell Nifty futures and option worth 50% to bring down from 80% to 30%. That's how we do it.
Thanks a lot, Bharat. There's a question with regards to number of stocks that you hold in Balanced Advantage Fund. The participant thinks that the number are too many. Also, would you like to elaborate upon your approach in building the core portfolio?
Okay, so the equity scripts which you typically look in our monthly fact sheet actually has a combination of many things. There are three parts in it. A is the core equity portfolio, the companies which actually buy from a view of a 3 to 5 year perspective. Then there is a second piece on the equity portfolio, which is the special situation, which we discussed it out. There are many times where we get open offer, buybacks, demerger, merger, IPO listings, OFS, and all kind of special situation. Typically, we participate in that. So there are many trade ideas on that on account of it, which is a quasi-debt kind of portfolio where we run around. These are low risk kind of step. The third thing which you would look like is the arbitrage portfolio. As I said, that we typically use cash future as a substitute of short-term debt. So many of these steps which you see in our portfolio is because of the cash future arbitrage. So that is the reason. If you look at it in terms of how we build our core equity portfolio, basically the core equity portfolio is constructed using a universe of top 500 companies. Basically, we select ideas which are of high quality and growth characteristic, but at a reasonable price. That is how we are looking at it. Typically, when you select these 500 companies by market cap, typically when you run a quality filter, actually we get only investable units of 200 to 250 companies. And within that 200 to 250 companies, we scan through these companies and do a bottom-up stock picking kind of stuff. And we pick up like best 50 names, 45, 50, 55 names for our core portfolio. So 50, 55 is the core portfolio. And after that, which are about arbitrage and special situation ideas, which actually typically form the equity holdings.
Thanks a lot, Bharat. The next question and last for the session today is to Bhavesh. Bhavesh, how do you simply explain investing into ultra short term versus an arbitrage to an investor who just needs stability in his return and tax efficiency?
Yeah. So Deepak, you will see arbitrage is an alternative to your low risk product like say liquid fund or ultra short term fund, because all your positions are completely hedged. Now for an investor who is looking at say stable and a better post-tax return, he has to compare additional risk which he take while he moves from a liquid into say ultra short. So whatever little duration call he takes over there, in current environment where interest rates are historically low levels, that risk is if you see the comparing that risk with the additional return he will generate. So risk reward ratio is not in his favor. Today, arbitrage fund is able to give you return of say close to 4%, 4.5%. Let's say ultra short term fund also will be giving you return which is equal to say 3.5 to 4%. But on a post-tax basis, arbitrage being an equity product, your taxation is much more efficient over there. So we will still give higher weightage to arbitrage fund compared to liquid fund or even ultra short term.
Thanks, Bhavesh.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully